Welcome to Hauntings at Dusk, true ghost stories in fiction UK with me, author Tina Vantyler. Today's episode is an original ghost story I've written called Letters to Laurence. I hope you enjoy it, and I'd love to know where you're listening from, so do let me know in the comments. When Meredith finds a box outside her new home, she expects to find a delivery meant for someone else. Instead, she finds 5 letters written in her own handwriting, addressed to a man she's never met. You'll find this tale in my second book of supernatural fiction, The Haunting of the Ruxfell Inn and Other Ghost Stories. Letters to Laurence. The box arrived on a drizzly Friday morning, damp cardboard wrapped in string and bearing Meredith's address but not her name, the handwriting smudged almost to illegibility. It had been left on her doorstep without fanfare, no postmark, no return address. Inside were letters, 4 or 5 on plain paper without envelopes, tied together with fraying black ribbon, the scent of mildew from the box clinging to them. At first she thought they must be a mistake. She unfolded the top letter. The ink had bled in places, although the words were more or less intact. It said, "Dear Laurence, I can't stop thinking about the last time we spoke. I hear your voice sometimes, calling my name, but when I turn there's nothing but shadows. It feels like a punishment. Maybe it is. Maybe I deserve it. Yours, M." Her eyes widened. She didn't know a Laurence, yet the handwriting was hers, the same neat, measured script, with that peculiar way of crossing the T's with a slight upward flick. Meredith hadn't written these letters, of that she was certain. She turned the paper over, but there was no explanation, no date. The ink was faded, the kind that came from a fountain pen, not something she used. The second letter was worse. "Dear Laurence, I heard footsteps in the hallway last night. They stopped outside the door, but when I looked, the corridor was empty. I know you're not here, but something is. Yours, M." A shiver crept across her shoulders. She placed the letters back in the box, shoved it behind an armchair, and tried to distract herself. But as the day wore on, the letters weighed on her mind. Who was Laurence? Why did the handwriting match hers so perfectly? And who was M? She'd been in her new flat a fortnight after months of stress. Fights with estate agents, selling her beloved Peugeot to scrape the cash together, and finally getting all her things here, all the while her widowed mother insisting it was a step too far on Meredith's small salary. "You'll regret it," her mother had declared, standing in the doorway of their old home with arms folded as Meredith plonked the last box of books in the removal van. "Don't say I didn't warn you when you can't pay your bills." Meredith was determined to show her mother she could live independently, didn't need her help. But now, this. The weather, chill and stormy for September, didn't help. That night, as rain lashed against the windows, Meredith lay in bed, unable to sleep. She grimaced at the plastic chandelier that had looked so elegant in the shop, her ears straining against the quiet in the flat. And then she heard it. Footsteps. They were faint at first, barely audible over the wind, but they grew louder, more deliberate. Slow steps moving down the hallway outside her bedroom. Meredith sat bolt upright, heart hammering. "Hello?" The footsteps stopped by her door. She grabbed her phone, turned on the torch, and stepped into the hallway. The air felt colder here, the kind of cold that settles into your bones. She swept the light across the corridor. Empty. Next day was a Saturday, and Meredith called her mother. Not to talk about the letters, her mother didn't do sympathy, but to hear the familiar voice of the woman who was supposed to cherish her above all others. "Struggling already?" asked her mother, hearing the bleakness in her daughter's tone. "I appreciate you're close to the station, but no, I'm not coming tonight. You know I don't like that part of London. Homeless people outside the shops, chewing gum and litter on the pavement. Not the sort of area I'd walk around." Steeling herself against her mother's unpleasantness, Meredith listened to the older woman's news, mainly complaints about work and neighbours, before ringing off. What was that saying about doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome being a sign of madness? Yet, thought Meredith, if it's your mother, it seems reasonable to hope she'll improve towards you in time. Meredith had planned a small housewarming party that evening, which she hoped would cheer her up, make her feel she belonged in the flat. But she couldn't shake her worry about the letters. Later, once her 4 friends had left, the notes were on her mind as she slid wine bottles into the recycling bin and cleared away pizza plates. That night, she dreamt of a man she didn't recognise sitting on the wicker chair in the corner of her room. He had sharp features and pale blue eyes that seemed to see straight through her, and his gaze had an intensity that made her skin crawl. After breakfast, she found herself retrieving the box of letters. With fumbling fingers, she untied the ribbon and pulled out the next one in the pile. Dear Laurence, I saw you last night, watching me from the foot of the bed. You didn't say anything, but your eyes held such sorrow, such depth, I wanted to reach out to you, but I was afraid you'd disappear. I wish you'd forgive me. Yours, M. Meredith dropped the letter. Her chest felt tight, her breath coming in shallow gasps. She looked around the room, half expecting to see someone standing there, but she was alone. She shoved the box into the wardrobe and locked the door. Over the next few days, she went to work, came home, cooked and shopped as though in a daze, the letters consuming her thoughts. But she would not take the box out of the wardrobe. She would not. One morning, though, she woke to find a new letter clutched in her hand. Dear Laurence, I can't escape the guilt. I keep trying to justify what I did, to tell myself I had no choice, but I see your face everywhere, in every room. I feel you in every breath. I hear your voice in the quiet and feel your anger in the cold draughts that sweep through the house. I'm sorry, Laurence, I truly am. Yours, M. Meredith set the letter down, her chin trembling. The handwriting was hers, yet the name Laurence meant nothing to her. She didn't know what she was apologising for. No, she chided herself, what M was apologising for. She paced the room, trying to make sense of it. The letters were becoming an obsession, pulling her deeper into their mystery. Each one was darker, more desperate than the last. That night, as the wind battered the building, she sat at the desk in her bedroom, surrounded by the letters, and started writing. She didn't know why. Her hand moved almost of its own accord. Dear Laurence, I don't remember you, but I feel your presence in this house. I don't understand what you want from me. Please tell me what I've done. M. As soon as she laid down her pen, the air in the room changed. The temperature dropped, and the faint scent of cigarette smoke curled around her. She looked up, her heart pounding, and saw a figure reflected in the darkened window, a man standing behind her. She spun around, but the room was empty. The next morning the letters were gone. The box, the ribbon, every page, vanished. Meredith scoured the house, opening drawers, searching behind furniture, but there was no trace of them. She tried to convince herself it was over, but the house had other plans. Objects began to move. Shoes she left by the door would appear on the stairs to trip her. Mugs were turned up smashed on the kitchen floor. Her door keys were found in a carton of milk. Every few nights the footsteps crept up and down outside her bedroom door. Meredith started losing track of time, hours vanishing without explanation. Once she woke in the night to find herself standing in the darkened hallway by the front door, clutching a photograph of her family she didn't even remember owning. Her mother and father with Meredith, aged about 7, in the middle. All wore sombre expressions despite standing on a beach, ice cream cones in hand. Shadows shifted on the walls. Whispers tugged at the edge of her hearing, saying what, she wasn't sure. Should she leave? She felt like she was losing her mind. One evening, as she prepared for bed, praying she'd be able to sleep, she found a new note waiting on her pillow, written in pencil, the letters thick and bold. Dear Myra, you know what you did. This was our home, our haven. where we built a life I thought would last forever. You promised me everything, but you lied. You were cruel beyond words, tearing me apart when you threw me on the street without so much as a backward glance. You abandoned me for Timothy, and in doing so you killed the best of me. That last night your words echoed in my head as I walked the tracks. Why not just end it, you'd murmured, your voice like ice. There's nothing for you here. Make it clean. Make it quick. You knew exactly what you were doing, didn't you? Like always. Each word chosen with surgical precision. And I, fool that I was, obeyed you one final time. The train came at midnight. I wondered, did you hear the commotion from our bedroom window? Did you smile, knowing your words had taken root? Yours, L. Memories from childhood around the time of the family photograph surfaced like drowning things for Meredith. Her mother, standing over her at the kitchen table because nothing about Meredith was good enough as it was. Again, she said, neater this time. Copy that paragraph until it's exactly right. Her mother's voice, caustic and sharp after too much wine. I should have stayed with Laurence. Your father's just like the rest of them. Useless. Her dad, sullen and silent to avoid the rows. Myra and Timothy. Her parents. Meredith glanced around her new home. How could she have known? All those estate agent viewings, and not once had she imagined she would settle on the property where her mother's past lay buried. The sins of the mothers. She thought of the first letters again, the handwriting so like her own, the elegant script her mother had forced her to perfect through endless repetition. But there was something else about them, something that made her skin prickle. The paper was pristine, untouched by time, as if the words had appeared moments before she found them. And although the script was Myra's, the tone was all wrong. Her mother's words were always exact, controlled, etched in frost. These letters bled emotion, desperation, betrayal, grief. These were not her mother's words at all. They expressed the remorse and understanding Laurence had longed for from her, penned in an imitation of Myra's careful hand. And in that moment, Meredith understood. Laurence wasn't trying to hurt her. He was trapped in an endless loop of his last days, playing out his pain to empty rooms. And now she had walked into his story, an unwitting understudy in her mother's role. Meredith took out a sheet of paper. In deliberate strokes, her mother's strokes, she wrote, Dear Laurence, I am not Myra, I am her daughter. Your quarrel isn't with me, but I understand now what she did to you. Meredith. She wrote the next morning to a torn-out slip of paper bearing a single line in heavy pencil. Then take me to her. Meredith stared at those 5 words. This flat was hers now, and she was done being haunted by her mother's cruelties. Laurence's letter from yesterday was nowhere to be seen, but Meredith held this slip of paper with his final words in her hand. Placing it in her bag, she picked up her phone, found her mother's number and typed, I know about you, Laurence, and I'm bringing you something. Or, she thought, someone. Thanks for listening to Hauntings at Dusk. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe on your favourite platform. Join me again soon for another shiver-inducing supernatural story.